Welcome back to the Sports Perspective TV viewers and subscribers. As always, thank you for tuning in. And if this is your first time coming across the channel or you haven't subscribed as yet, definitely hit that subscribe button. Now, with the West Indies losing to England in their first match of the Super 8, it means that they have started the Super 8s on the wrong note, of course. But it also means that they are on the brink of elimination if they don't win their remaining matches, right? So in this video, I'm going to be sharing a few scenarios that would allow the West Indies to advance, or a few scenarios which would eliminate them as well. Obviously, if they lose the next match, then they would more than likely be eliminated. And then also sharing a few points as to what the team needs to do to improve their performance. What bowlers they can change, and so on and so forth. Right? So just stick around until the end of the video while we discuss all of these things, right? So, so with the last night, West Indies are currently at the bottom of their group in the Super 8, on net run rate. It was a convincing victory by England in the end. They chased on the total in about 17.3 overs, which means that even though the West Indies have England, they have the highest net run rate, and West Indies, by virtue of losing to England, they have the lowest net run rate, which puts them at the bottom of the group, right? But that is not the end for the West Indies, right? So I would say the best scenario for them would be for them to hope that England wins all 3 of their matches in this group, right? Which would mean that all the teams that we have in the remaining matches would already lose a game to England. And then the West Indies themselves, they have to win their 2 remaining matches against South Africa and the USA, right? So if they are able to do that, win their 2 remaining matches, and England wins all 3 of their matches, it would mean that both South Africa and the USA would finish the Super 8 group with 2 losses, and the West Indies would only have lost 1 match against England, which would put them in second place in the group, and they would advance to the semifinals. So that's, from a West Indian standpoint, that's probably the best scenario. Hoping that England wins all 3 of their matches, and they of course have to win their 2 remaining matches as well. If for whatever reason though, South Africa, England loses, either lose to South Africa or lose to the USA, and all 3 teams, England, South Africa, and the West Indies finish the Super 8s with two wins and a loss, then of course the net run rate would come in, right? So the West Indies, they definitely need to win their match against the USA, but also, considering the fact that South Africa defeated them by about 16 runs. So West Indies' first priority in the match, in their matches, will be to win the match, of course, because none of this matters if they don't win the match. And then try and make sure that they win the matches by a bigger margin than so for example, when they play against the US, try to win the match by a bigger margin than which South Africa beat them, which will improve their standing in the net as it relates to net run rate, right? So if England doesn't win all 3 of their matches, and all teams finish on 2 wins and 1 loss, then net run rate will come in very handy. So it will be very interesting to see how that goes. But also I think the schedule as well, it's kind of in the West Indies' favor in terms, and the fact that yes, they lost to England, but then their next match is against the weakest team on paper in the group, because like I said, the match isn't played on paper. And even in that USA South Africa match, we saw how close that match was, and the USA definitely had a chance to win that match against South Africa. So it will be no different when they play against the West Indies, right? Yes, the West Indies are the stronger team on paper, but they have to go out there and perform on match day, right? But as I was saying about the schedule, the schedule makes for them to play the weakest team in the group on paper next, and then play in South Africa after on the 23rd. So that match against South Africa will be for a semi-final spot, as long as the West Indies are able to beat the USA. And if England continues on their victorious path, winning all the matches, right? So that match against South Africa will more than likely determine which of the teams, either West Indies or South Africa, will advance to the semifinals. So those are the scenarios, so hoping that England wins out and West Indies. But regardless of what happens, the West Indies definitely need to win their next two matches to give them the best chance of qualifying. And hoping for a bit of help from England as well, that England can win all three of their matches. And that would make it easier for us to qualify, so we don't have to then depend on net run rate or calculations and stuff like that, right? Now, the batting left a bit of runs out there against England. But nevertheless, that was still 180 runs that was put on the board. And 180 runs is a good total in T20 cricket, right? They could have scored more, should have scored more. And of course, we wanted them to score more, right? Because we see how the match ended up. But the issue was more the bowling, right? The spinners, they bowled well. So Gudakesh Motie, Akil Hussain and Roston Chase, they were the most economical bowlers for us. They also looked the most dangerous. They were containing the English batsmen. So it was the pacers or the fast bowlers that went for a majority of the run. Romari Shepherd went for 30 in 1 over. That's crazy. But you have to expect that sometime. Against Afghanistan, we had an over where we hit one of their bowlers at 36 runs. So that is T20 cricket for you. You'll have days where your team is the team that scores a lot of runs off an over, and there will be days when your team gives up a lot of runs off an over, right? So, but with that being said, I do think that the bowling needs improvement, and I was actually surprised that Shepherd came back in the team ahead of Obed McCoy. So that's the first thing I would say is to bring in Obed McCoy for the next match for Shepherd. That does shorten our batting a bit, but in the match, Shepherd didn't really do much with the bat, and he hasn't done much with the bat so far when he has gotten the opportunity. Apart from that, which match was it? Apart from that match against New Zealand, where he had a partnership with Rutherford for a bit. Apart from that, he hasn't really done much with the bat, right? So bringing in Obed McCoy, I think that would help the team to improve, right? Nicholas Pooran as well, in terms of keeping, and he has kept well, but unfortunately, he dropped a few catches in this match, especially the catch off Phil Salt, when he was on 7, and that ended up costing us the match, right? I'm not saying that the other English batsmen would not have come in and scored runs, because Johnny Brewster came in after Josh Butler got out, and we saw what he did, but it would have made it a bit more challenging, with Phil Salt being there from the start of the innings. It was definitely easier for him to tee off against Romari Shepherd and the other bowlers in the latter stages of the innings. So if Pooran had taken that catch, who knows, the result of the match might have been different. Not only did Pooran drop the catch, there was another run-out opportunity as well, where Pooran had all the stumps to aim after, and he missed that run out as well off Phil Salt. So, like I mentioned in a previous video, England won the match, but West Indies missed quite a few opportunities to get Phil Salt out, and it ended up costing them in the match. So that's an area of improvement that's needed as well. Taking catches, taking run out opportunities. Obviously not every catch will be taken, but in Pooran's that catch against Phil Salt, that should have definitely been taken. Not only did he had also had an opportunity to catch it off the rebound, but seems as if he was off balance and wasn't able to make an attempt at the ball. But that definitely needs to improve in the next match as well. Brandon King, being injured, there will definitely, it seems as if he won't be able to feature in the remaining for the remainder of the World Cup. I'm not sure. But more than likely, Brandon King will have to be replaced in the next match, which comes up tomorrow. So it will be interesting to see which batter the West Indies, or what the West Indies decides to do with replacing Brandon King. Naturally you would think of a Shai Hope who has opening experience, especially in ODI cricket. That more than likely Shai Hope would be the natural replacement. But I've mentioned in previous videos that should they consider opening Shimron Hetmeyer. It seems as if Hetmeyer is in the team, and Darren Sammy said it in the press conference when the team was announced, that Hetmeyer is in the team as a finisher in the team. But Sheffield Rutherford has been performing well in that role. So Hetmeyer hasn't gotten a look into the team as yet. So maybe this is an opportunity for Hetmeyer to get a look in and open the batting. But I think Shai Hope will be given the preference. But that's also something that can be considered as well, right? But definitely, next matches are must wins for the West Indies. If they don't win, then they're definitely out of the tournament. And there needs to be changes made in the bowling. Shamar Joseph as well, he was poor in this match. It will be interesting to see what they do with him as well, if they decide to keep him or give Shamar Joseph an opportunity to bowl in the next match as well. But that's all I have for you in this video. If you're not subscribers, definitely let me know your thoughts on this as well. Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comment section. What you think the West Indies can do to improve their performances in the next match, who needs to come in, who should they replace, and so on and so forth, right? As always, thank you for tuning in. Do remember to like the video, comment on the video, share the video as well if you would so wish, and definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so as yet. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.